45 left. You trail, you're on the road. Field goal doesn't win it. One timeout. Who would you take, Gardner Minshew or Deshaun Watson? And I would say I would take Gardner Minshew today. Would you take Baker Mayfield or Trevor Lawrence? I would take Baker Mayfield today. I don't care about your contract, your resume, your draft status. I don't care. Right now, I'd take Sam Darnold, from what I've seen the first 3 weeks, over a lot of quarterbacks who are viewed as better quarterbacks. And you know, it's almost how you judge friends. A friend will help you move. A great friend will help you move a body. I lived in Vegas. I'm not going to get into it. So there's a difference. And I judge it based on crisis. The all-time greats, Joe Montana, Brady, Elway, all did one thing in common. Some big, some small, some big arms, some mobile, not mobile. One thing in common. Brady, Mahomes, Elway, great in crisis. A lot of guys are talented. They're not great in crisis. And so my top 10 quarterbacks, based on this premise, because that's what I'm paying for. I'm not paying for your resume. Jalen Hurts got a great resume. He turns the ball over too much. Can I trust him? And now he lost a great center. And now he doesn't have A.J. Brown. Would I trust him today on a drive? Not really. With Nick Sirianni? Okay, so here we go. The king on this, he's the Elway. He is the Brady of his generation. It's Mahomes. Let's not argue it. That 44-yard game-tying drive with 13 seconds left is the greatest last-second limited-time scarcity drive in the history of football, and it really is defining. I mean, he's really, especially in the early years when he had a high-powered offense, I mean, he trailed playoff games by 2 touchdowns. Nobody cared. Didn't change the way you attacked him. Number 2, and I think his superpower is if you got to pick up yards down the field, best arm in the league, Josh Allen, also great scrambling. I think mobility matters a lot in that minute 45. Go to Mahomes' Super Bowl games. Mobility matters in these spots because stuff breaks down. Sometimes a Steve Spagnuolo is going to bring the house. Kirk Cousins, I love him. I don't get any mobility with him. Josh Allen, too. Joe Burrow, I get just enough mobility. And I also think he got to a Super Bowl with road wins with an atrocious offensive line and was running for his life. That, to me, defined Burrow as less talent than maybe Mahomes, less physical wow than Allen, but his ability to win with bad O-lines, and we don't know if Zach Taylor can coach, puts him at 3. One spot ahead of a guy that doesn't give me the mobility of Burrow, Matt Stafford. But Stafford leads all quarterbacks currently playing with 36 fourth-quarter comebacks. He had another one Sunday. This is his superpower is like Mahomes. Arm angles, throw it from any platform. I don't get mobility, and if the pocket collapses, he's in trouble, but I put him 4. I put Aaron Rodgers just a notch below because now Aaron is good, but I've never thought he's as great trailing as an Elway, Mahomes, Brady, or a Matt Stafford. I will say, though, in the last 2 years, half his wins are game-winning drives, so he's gotten better at it. Number 6, and now it gets tricky because I feel strongly about the first 5, probably C.J. Stroud. Now, I don't have a big resume to work with, and he's had a couple stinkers. These young quarterbacks, Minnesota game, they have stinkers. They go sideways fast for these young quarterbacks. 75-yard game-winning drive, 40 seconds against the Bucs. Like, it's impressive. I'm sorry. Greg Cosell talks about it this week, last week. The kid's just different. I would say number 7, again, I don't have a huge resume, but I love Jordan Love. He had 3 game-winning drives last year in his first full season as a starter. And in the playoffs, his first time go to the playoffs, he had a 99 passer rating and 67% completion ratio with the youngest offensive team, youngest roster since the 1970 Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. I know it's young, but between LaFleur, the youth, his mobility, now, he's going to have, again, he's going to throw some picks. He's more Favre than Aaron Rodgers. He's got some gunslinger in him, but I would put him 7. I will tell you, this is where Brock Purdy won me over last week. Last week was the proving point. No Christian McCaffrey, no Debo, no Kittle against Stafford and McVay. He didn't win the game, but he won me over. I was like, wow. And by the way, Brock Purdy, highest fourth-quarter passer rating in league history. That's something, folks. I don't know if it's Shanahan. That's the highest fourth-quarter passer rating in the history of the league. I know. He hasn't played a lot. He's played enough to know some of that's relevant. Number 9, I may criticize Dak, but he was 3-0 in one-score games last year. Now, they get their teeth kicked in about 4 times a year. In the blowouts, he can be ugly, but in close games, Dak's a grown-up. Dak generally throws to the right guy. I don't think he has the biggest arm. He doesn't move around like Kyler Murray. But I just trust the IQ, the EQ. You know, the intangibles for Dak are better than the tangibles. But intangibles, Eli Manning was like that. I didn't love Eli. I loved him with a minute 40 to go. I loved him in Super Bowls. Dak's got some of that quality. I always trust Dak in tight spots. His limitations aren't his ability to maneuver late. Number 10, by a nose, Lamar Jackson over Jared Goff. Goff gives me no mobility. If the pocket breaks down, you're done. Now, Lamar hasn't been as successful as you think he has late, but it should be noted, in the last 2 minutes of his career, Lamar is a 120 passer rating. I hate to break it to you, he's good there. Now, I do not think he throws from the pocket as well as an Aaron or a Stafford or a Mahomes, and sometimes not as good as Dak. But I love his ability to just make stuff up. So I do give Josh Allen improvisation, Lamar Jackson. It does matter.
Okay, so let me see if I can get it where we have all of them at the same time. There we go. Okay. There's nothing wrong with this list, truly. I mean, this is one of those just like really subjective, made up type lists with like some reality, some just kind of guessing, right? Like he kind of admitted with like CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, because, you know, we've only seen so much of those quarterbacks in those situations. But it's kind of weird because are you considering the coach as well? Because he says, I don't trust Jalen Hurts with Nick Sirianni. But it's like, okay, but then like, what about Matthew Stafford with Robert Saleh, right? Like, or I don't know, Jordan Love without Matt LaFleur, CJ Stroud without Bobby Slovic, or Brock Purdy without Shanahan. So that's where I'm kind of like, this gets a little bit messy for me personally. Like, I will put, especially if we're going to consider a coach, like, yeah, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, number 1 for sure. And Josh Allen, too. Then I'm going to, like, switch around. Because, again, like, this is where I don't understand. And I'm going to go back and forth between sometimes considering the coach and sometimes not. Because if we're definitely considering the coach, then, yeah, I'm putting Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford at 3 over Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. I mean, we've seen what Matthew Stafford has done in these close games like that in the Super Bowl. And he stepped up. We saw what he did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Tom Brady in the last minute, right? Like, just unbelievable stuff. And that's why I would also add Jalen Hurts to this list as well. We've seen what he did in those crunch time moments in the literal Super Bowl. And we saw what he did against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills last year and a couple other games. So I just don't think that that's, again, entirely fair. Jalen Hurts has Shane Steichen with 2 minutes to go. Talk about mobility and what he can do. How he can buy time in the pocket, run. He can rip off a 50-yard run, or throw on the run down the field. So I would absolutely put Jalen Hurts in that list as well. It's not like I want to kick out any of these other quarterbacks either. Like, I think Dak can be in this list, but at the same time, if you said it's in the Super Bowl, there's a minute 45 left to go, who would you rather have, Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts? Like, again, we actually have concrete evidence of Jalen Hurts succeeding in that circumstance. We do not have that from Dak Prescott. We've seen Brock Purdy be able to do that as well. That's also why you're probably going to have to put Brock Purdy ahead of CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. I think the world of Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, but we've seen Brock Purdy do it multiple times in the playoffs when it really, 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 really mattered. We have not seen that from Jordan Love and CJ Stroud just yet. I do believe CJ Stroud and Jordan Love are going to end up being top quarterbacks in the NFL without a doubt, and are going to be able to build that resume of having all these great comeback wins and important moments of the season, right? Like NFC, AFC championship games, Super Bowls, whatever it may be. You guys know how high I am on Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. I have them, I had them before the injury as my leading favorites for MVP candidates. So, but I just think based off of today and what we've seen, you're going to have to give it up to Brock Purdy, quite frankly. And so, yeah, it's like if I had to just rearrange this list right now, it would be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and then honestly, I'm putting Aaron in front of Joe Burrow, mainly because of Aaron's just wealth of experience, and just what he's capable of doing. At the end of the day, when you watch Aaron Rodgers play, you just can see that he understands football, man. You understand why he was voted the smartest football player, or the smartest quarterback, or whatever it was. And it's not a slight at Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. I would be happy to have Joe Burrow be my quarterback for the next 5,000 years, health aside. But you just know it. Aaron just gets it, man. And the problem with Aaron is that he's obviously not as young and as healthy as he once was. And when you look at some highlights of what Aaron used to be able to do, I mean, like it's kind of wild, quite frankly. So like that's why it's a little tough. It's like when we're looking at this, are we talking about it like right now, right this minute? The game is tonight, right? Like Aaron or Joe Burrow, like it's a tough conversation as a whole. Because like I said, what coaches are we considering right now? Zach Taylor or Robert Saleh, or it's just like what are we considering, the offensive coordinators? It's just like what's the actual story here? But so that's why I would probably rearrange that ever so slightly, and then I would put Purdy there. And then like I said, I just think that Jalen Hurts has to be there. I think at the end of the day, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love will probably shape up to be better quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts. But I think in this moment of time, what Jalen Hurts has proven to be able to do, again, doing it in a Super Bowl, is quite remarkable. It's literally what we define people of, like, what can you do? There's no more pressure than doing something in the Super Bowl in a time crunch. And the fact that he was able to lead that drive to tie the game and get the 2-point conversion. I mean, talk about stakes. And he did it. And go watch that drive. Like it was him. It was him. He wasn't just dumping it off to a big time running back or a wide receiver who then took it to the house. Like, it was him doing it. But also, of course, Shane Steichen. And that's the thing too, with Andy Reid dialing up awesome plays for Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen doesn't have, because you can make the argument that the better combination would be Andy Reid and Josh Allen together, because Josh Allen can physically do more. He can get more yards. When it's 4th and 3, you can actually really just say, we need Josh to just barrel through everyone. You can't necessarily 100% rely on that for a Patrick Mahomes. But as teams are constructed right now, you're definitely going to go with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at number 1 over Josh Allen and whoever his offensive coordinator is at any given moment. And Lamar Jackson is also the very interesting one, because he has that ability to rip off like a legitimate like 90-yard run, right? So like that's why I would put him ahead of Dak Prescott as well, because I just think there's versatility. Even though Dak Prescott, I believe, I probably trust Dak to throw the ball better in crunch time than, say, a Lamar Jackson. I just think that Lamar is just going to be more versatile, and it's like if I have 2 minutes to go and I have to pick between those two quarterbacks, who am I going to trust? I'm going to lean on Lamar probably a little bit more. But I don't have any problem though with Dak being in here, because I do agree with what Colin was saying about Dak with the emotional intelligence, the IQ. Like, he's not, I don't think Dak will just crumble or be a disaster or try to do too much. I think he's a very smart player, and although he hasn't had some of the levels of success or some of the level of some of the highs that some of these other quarterbacks have had, you're still not going to not trust Dak Prescott, right? Like, I think there's some quarterbacks who you would genuinely feel uncomfortable or not feel confident. And I think with Dak, 2 minutes to go, you're going to have a large degree of confidence and comfortability with Dak. You're not going to be like, all right, well, we have no chance here. Oh, God, he's a liability. What are we going to do with now, right? There's definitely quarterbacks in the NFL where you're just like, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, but this is just always a fun list, honestly, or just like it's a forced way to like back yourself in a corner because like again, we know Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. There's plenty of other quarterbacks that are great or really good that are not on this list. And you're just like, okay, well, where are they? And it's like it's a made up thing, right? Like we don't really actually know. And the problem is that some of these other quarterbacks have so much more of a resume to go off of, so we know what they've done. We've seen what they've been able to do, so it's just hard to overlook that. And some of these other quarterbacks we know are great or will be great one day, but we haven't seen that. We haven't seen CJ Stroud, AFC Championship game, minute 45, down by 4, march the Texans down and get that, and boom, they win the game, right? We haven't actually seen that, so it's like hard to assume that he'll be able to do that. We believe he will. I believe he will, but we just haven't seen it. So this list is always guaranteed to frustrate people and make people angry. I can see people mad that Dak's even on this list. I could see people mad, why is Baker not on there? I could see people mad, where's Jalen? Or you think Jalen should be on here? That's insane. He fumbled, right? Like it's just this Lamar Jackson number 10 behind Dak Prescott. Like it's just it's a guaranteed list to annoy everyone except for Kansas City Chiefs fans, quite frankly. I think that's really what this list will do. We'll just make everybody probably annoyed except for Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs fans. I'm trying to think if there was any other quarterbacks that we're forgetting of, because he brought up Goff, he brought up Herbert. I'm trying to think off the top of my head any of these other quarterbacks that would be worthy of a mention. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, and people are going to be like, I can't believe you didn't mention blank. And I'm like, I didn't do it on purpose. I just can't think. You got Kyler Murray, not Daniel Jones. Heck, I mean, we got to start adding Jaden Daniels to that list right now, considering what he did against the Bengals. It's only one game, but he's shown more technically than some of these other quarterbacks. Trying to think if there's anyone else. I don't believe so. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Which quarterback would you want with the game on the line? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.